Hey friends, happy Tuesday. Hope you had a great Monday. Hope your 401k wasn't too impacted. Don't check it right now. This is the worst time. Just wait until you're dead. All right, that's the best time to have enough money, okay? Sleep when you're dead and make money when you're dead. That's the way we do things here at Hot News. Anyways, it seemed to disturb you guys yesterday, the existential question of the day of how do you scratch your itchy bones? Well, today I've got one for you. What's the most comfortable way to hold your tongue in your mouth? How do you hold your tongue in your mouth in the most comfortable way? You basically just have to forget about it. It's like me telling you you're manually breathing right now. Yeah, well, you let me know what's the most comfortable way down in the comments down below, but let's jump on into the uncomfortable news today, which is Nvidia is canceling their GTC keynote. They've already canceled the official gathering of the Nvidia GTC conference in San Jose, which was supposed to have roughly 10,000 people attend, and they shut that down last week or a week and a half ago, and they said that they were gonna move to online only, especially for the keynote, but then it came out in light of Voldemort and the Death Eaters being out there that they couldn't even do the keynote. So they are canceling the keynote altogether, and instead they're just going to be doing press releases issued on March 24th and then having an investor call with the CEO Jensen Huang after that, and we will likely live stream that instead of live streaming the keynotes. Investor calls, they're great stuff. Just like AMD's Financial Analyst Day, we actually got a lot more information out of that than a lot of people were expecting, so it was a little bit of a good thing. So Voldemort canceling what we would thought would have been a pretty big announcement. Obviously at the Nvidia GTC, we're anticipating the launch of the Ampere architecture, or at least the announcement of it, and how they're going to be rolling it out into the next generation, because it's been many moons since Volta came out. So launching a new Ampere data center architecture at GTC would line up with what they did previously. And in fact, this is where we got the Star Wars ray tracing demo that became infamous because of how often they used it. It just works, and now we're not going to get to see the beautiful nature of that working. I'm sad. It doesn't just work. Jensen, you lied to us. Okay, let's shift gears to AMD and their CPU side, because there has been a B550 motherboard that's been pictured. This is slightly different than the previous one, which happened to be B550A, which was just a B450 motherboard that was called B550 for some reason. Anyways, this is the first one that appears to be based on the actual B550 chipset, and you can actually see the chipset on the motherboard itself. It's not covered up by heatsink, so we can confirm this is B550. We'll have to see when this is supposed to launch. Q1 was what I was told back at Computex last year. That seems to line up with all the rumors we're hearing, but then at the same time, Voldemort. So when we get B550 and low-end Ryzen, not quite sure, but in case you want to peruse the pictures, you can do so at the link in the video description. Speaking of pictures, Intel's next generation CPU, the i5 10400, depending on how you want to pronounce it, has been pictured as well. This is anticipated to be the 6-core, potentially hyper-threading, probably hyper-threading chip, 6-core 12-thread, that they're expecting to go for about $200, which puts it right in the price point of a Ryzen 5 3600. This has an integrated GPU, Ryzen doesn't, therefore this is the better value, even though it's not overclockable, so just buy Intel. Do you really want to live the rest of your life and not know how many Intel hyperthreads you could have had? I'm being facetious. But let's talk about China and not about Voldemort. Let's talk about something good, potentially, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. Chinese fab SMIC is going to be starting their 7nm production in the fourth quarter of this year. They've been working on the 14nm process, and they will be able to stop down to the 7nm process. SMIC is China's Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation. It doesn't use EUV like some of the other 7nm, but China's fabrication facility going to be able to be on the bleeding edge of fabrication nodes, process that stuff. Talking about bleeding edge, hypercars, hyper electric cars. Would you think Lotus? Well, you would think Lotus if you're thinking about the Tesla Roadster, because the original Tesla Roadster was based on the Lotus Elise chassis. Anyways, apparently the Lotus Evija is the hypercar from Lotus that is their electric supercar. Costs $2.6 million, Reece. It doesn't use gas, so you're saving a whole bunch of money there, right? This is basically a tax write-off. So a $2.6 million car, Lotus said that they're producing 130 of them, and they're already completely sold out. That's a lot of cash. Lotus ain't dead. It's beautiful. I'm just waiting on the Tesla Roadster, which is only going to be $200,000. Speaking of Tesla and the Roadster, they have shipped, or they've built rather, they haven't shipped this one yet, their 1 millionth car, and it happens to be a Tesla Model Y, a red version. It looks gorgeous. I love it. I like the Y. I prefer the 3 because I don't like the crossover design, but I could get my wife a crossover and I could have them all 3 anyways. I'm pipe dreaming right now. The Model Y crossover is the 1 millionth production car from Tesla, the first American car company to reach mass production in over 100 years, and they produce 1 million. Speaking of millions, GameStop has been losing millions. And they've been trying to turn it around by turning their stores into gathering places, by giving really cheeky employees as managers. I don't like going to our local GameStop. It's an awkward encounter for me every time. I tried to buy something there, and she was like, "You want the warranty?" I was like, "No." She was like, "Are you sure?" Yes, I'm sure. I'm going to break it. Anyways, hopefully that'll all change with the company culture, because Reggie from Nintendo is now announced to be as part of the board of directors over at GameStop, part of GameStop's really, I mean, it seems like they're putting a lot of effort into trying to turn themselves around. What was a failing game store now hopefully won't die. Go Reggie! And go PC modder who fixed what Warner Brothers couldn't, because within a week's worth of work, according to him, he fixed the Batman Arkham Knight bugs. And so it actually is able to run. There's a few things that don't work, such as GameWorks in Batman Arkham Knight, but who uses GameWorks anyways, okay? You don't have, and don't worry about that. Shh, it's Nvidia crap, nobody cares. He was able to fix all of the major crashes that would happen in Batman Arkham Knight, and in case you don't remember, Batman Arkham Knight was an abysmal PC launch, like rated one of the worst that ever came out. Now, hopefully, if you use his mod, you can at least play it, in case you couldn't before. There you go. One dude, week's worth of work, did what an entire development studio didn't care to do, okay? Not that they couldn't, they didn't care. Because if they cared, they would have done something about it. But they were just like, PC gamers, screw them. Speaking of PC gamers, have you ever wanted to game on a device that's slightly bigger than a Nintendo Switch, but is also a gaming PC? Well, GPD WinMax has their 8-inch gaming laptop that has come out. It has a full keyboard, has a not trackpad, it has like thumbsticks and Joy-Cons and touchpads, and yeah, it's a really cool thing. Look at this. It's got okay specs. It's an 8-inch 1280 by 800 display. It has a Core i5 1035G7, 16 gigs of RAM, an M.2 drive, Thunderbolt 3, full Ethernet port, and keyboard's gonna be backlit, and they're saying it has a 57 watt-hour battery. This thing doesn't seem like it's necessarily all that bad a performer considering the size. Has full-size HDMI, has trigger buttons. It's pretty cool. It's not quite as out there as Alienware's like concept UFO thing that they had, which was like a giant Switch. This is more like a dual gaming productivity device. It's kind of out there. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of the GPD WinMax 8-inch gaming laptop? No prices yet, but I can't expect that it's not going to be a little pricey. Let's go ahead and talk about another gaming console, which is the Sony PlayStation 5, because according to haptic tech developer Immersion, they're saying that the Sony DualShock 5 controller will catalyze increased demand for advanced interactive haptic experiences based on the biofeedback mechanics that are potentially going to be in the DualShock 5 controller, making it show that game developers will incorporate more things into the controller as part of the gameplay, and not having the baby coo at you from Death Stranding be the only gimmick that they have. Or, which I didn't realize, in Horizon Zero Dawn, your little scouter thing comes out of the controller, because I would always play it on remote play. And so my controller would be hooked up to my PC, didn't have that communication until the first time, like 30 hours into the game, I hooked it up to the TV for the first time. And then it made the noise and I was like, ah! I didn't know you had a speaker in you. Okay, let's move on to VR, because Valve Index went on sale yesterday after being out of stock for quite some time. But in case you were anticipating in buying it yesterday in order to play Half-Life Alyx, which is due to launch on March 23rd, well, no, because the shipping time on all of the devices that were bought yesterday is 8 weeks. So expect your device in May. And you may be freaking out about Voldemort coming to your house. But Apple says, you know how we said you couldn't wipe your phones with disinfectant wipes because it would erode like some stuff on our phones? Just wipe your phones, okay? Don't use bleach. Use 70% isopropyl alcohol wipes. Wipe it down, okay? Don't use bleach. Avoid getting any moisture. And don't submerge it. Do not bathe your iPhone. Just wipe it down with the disinfectant. You'll be okay. Speaking of phones, companies, Pixel 4a has been pictured. Looks like it might have a fabric back. Interesting. Picture is there. There's also video of some. I don't know if I like it. It has a pinhole in the front. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade from my Pixel 3a. Look at it. You tell me what you think.
Look at me.
But then there's also a new Motorola phone that's potentially coming out. It's called the Motorola Edge Plus. It might be headed to the display. As you can see by the picture on the screen, it has the wraparound edge just like Samsung did with their S7 Edge 5 years ago, long time ago. Motorola, why? Motorola, you're dead to me. You know what also is dead to me? Quibi. Have you been getting adverts for Quibi?
I have not.
Okay, so Quibi is a dumb platform where it's 10-minute videos that they shot so that you can either view it portrait or landscape, and you can rotate between it. They're calling it their turnstile technology. I thought this was a dumb platform by the time it was announced. Their advertisements are terrible. The concept of the platform is super stupid. Nobody's gonna watch videos like this. They're 10 minutes long, so what? You think you're gonna get me to pay your dumb platform the same price that I'm paying Netflix to watch non-full-length movies? Okay, this is run by the same CEO who brought down HP in the Palm merger. Okay, Meg Whitman of HP, you didn't handle the Palm thing correctly. I don't trust you to handle Quibi. That's my personal gripe against you. Anyways, the reason I'm talking about it is because they're being sued for patent infringement by a company known as Eco, who also creates interactive videos. They're saying that Quibi has used patented technology and stolen trade secrets for its turnstile technology. Quibi has responded by saying, we developed this all in-house. All I have to say is that Quibi better die in a Quibi. This is going to be a failed experiment. This is like Mike Bloomberg's presidential campaign. It's a ton of money on advertisements with nobody actually caring. That was a political statement, but I think, regardless of Mike Bloomberg's politics, we can all agree he spent a heckin' ton of cash. Anyways, speaking of all that nonsense, we're going to end hot news there. Let me know, what's the most comfortable way to hold your tongue in your mouth while I'm talking? It's moving. That's the most comfortable way, is to form the words that I'm trying to form with my tongue. And now I'm paying attention to it as I'm using it, and my tongue is doing weird things. Language is funny. Okay, bye. Not going there. Reset.